So a couple of things that are in your bulletin, but I just want to bring to your attention. Just remember, next Sunday, following the 9 o'clock Eucharist, briefly we'll have a special congregational meeting. Its purpose is to amend our bylaws so that we have some consistency in the terms of our officers, and also so we can stagger the terms of our junior and senior warden. So the amendments are posted all around. Unless you have like 3 million questions, it should be short and sweet. Okay. So next Sunday following the Eucharist.
Sorry, I forgot to come up earlier.
That's okay.
So next Sunday is our last day of Sunday school for the school year. So we are going to be celebrating by during coffee hour, and while the grown-ups are talking about stuff that's probably too much for us to understand when we're kids, we will be serving you at coffee hour. So just a way for us to say thank you for being very nice grown-ups to all of us.
Who's a
I
grown-up?
guess not me.
Not me.
But, no, lame. I guess while I'm up here, I can also share a little bit about transition updates. Again, our goal is to be as transparent as possible and update you without being redundant. So while one of us might not always come up here every Sunday, please know that at any time you can come and ask any of us any questions. So we met this past week. We are now working on developing small groups, and we plan to have a couple weeks of discussion with those small groups. We're trying our best to create these small groups geographically. As Tom says, he loves data, so Tom is strategically looking at everyone's addresses, and Marty made this big map, and we're trying our best to make these groups geographically, and our goal is to have intimate conversations, maybe not necessarily here in this building, but maybe in someone's house, or maybe somewhere close by to where all of this is, to where all of you live, to break down what we learned from the cat and have more specific, productive conversations. Because again, in order for us to move forward, we have to find out who we are and what we need to be our best self, right? So in order to do that, it goes past the cat, it goes past my team and I. So these should be fun, and we hope for them to be productive. And it also gives us a sense of fellowship, maybe in a time where we are all a little anxious and want things to move faster and curious about what's going to happen next, to remind us that we are a family and it's okay to rely on one another and it's okay to be patient, because that's hard. So expect a phone call, an email, a text, something from me or one of my members of my team to talk about me just hanging out and, having some deep conversations, maybe snacks.
Maybe. We're Episcopalians.
We like snacks.
We like food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, if you have any questions, just let any one of us know. We'd be glad to chat with you.
Because if you notice that when Jesus' followers sit and eat, Jesus just shows up. So that's why Episcopalians like food.
True.
Right? So in the bulletin, there's a little bit more information. Think of probably June and July as being really a critical time. We're not taking the summer off this year, but we are really gonna drill down. So the small groups are one part of that, where we will take some of the aspects, some of the learnings from the cat, and go deeper with that information. I'm going to lead a second part, and that's going to involve all of us here on Sunday morning. I'm going to walk you through a series of exercises, relatively short, where you get to give me some input. So, for instance, one Sunday I'm going to ask you to give me adjectives that describe St. G's. You'll have a little piece of paper and you get to write down all the adjectives that you can think of. I think I only have 16 spaces, so there's got to be a limit. But we will use that as a way for us to be able to answer the 4 critical questions that are in your bulletin. The who are we, why we exist, what do we aspire to become, how are we going to live together in community. So that when that is finished, we will have a statement of our identity. We will have a statement of our mission. We'll have a statement of our vision, and we will have a statement of our core values. I've done that process a couple different ways, but we are small enough that I can do it with the entire congregation rather than with a small group. So those 2 things are going to be running simultaneously, and they'll end roughly sometime this summer. The goal is that we complete all the work that we need to do to be able to pull together a portfolio/profile and have that ready early fall, so that sometime this fall we will move into search and call. So that's kind of the goal, is to be able to move in and begin to look for your next priest sometime this fall. Okay? So it gives you some sense of this is not a never-ending process. And as interim, there's always a time to share information so that you know what you need to know at a particular time without overwhelming you with so much stuff that you kind of leave here in a haze. And then finally, just have you all ever done anything around Rogation Days? Has anyone ever heard about Rogation Days? Yay! They are the 3 days prior to Ascension Day. So it's going to be Sunday, the 25th. And you just have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of that week are the Rogation Days. And they tend to focus, it's usually time of spring planting. So it has that connotation. In the old days, before you had property markers, you actually walk the grounds. Now in England, parishes are geographical. So it's not just walking around our few acres here. You would literally walk around the town as a way of claiming that space. We're going to do a short procession, and we will do a series of prayers as we face west, as we face north, as we face east, and as we face south. And they are prayers really for the entire community and various aspects of the community. On Sunday, the 25th, I know this is kind of late. Most of us have prepared our gardens and maybe even planted, but if you haven't, and you have some plants that are going to go into the ground, maybe there are some flowers, maybe my tomato plants, I usually wait a little bit longer. I cheat. I buy a plant that already has flowers on it, right? It's kind of, I've done the planting from seeds. That was fun once. So bring some seeds, bring some plants. We will bless those, and you'll have a prayer that you can then take home with you to pray and bless your specific garden. Okay, so that's all part of Rogation. I like to keep the holy days that are in our calendar. I've noticed over the last several years now that we've gotten pretty neglectful, and if something happens during the week, we don't bother with it. So I'm not going to try a full service. I'm not going to ask the choir to come. We're not going to ask Melody to come. I'm going to follow the pattern that I use for our Celtic Eucharist. So we'll do a brief, about half-hour Eucharist at 12 noon on Ascension Day. It's a Thursday. This year it's May 29th. It's also the day after my ordination anniversary. This year's 41 and 48. And a couple days before I turned 74, although my wife invited all the kids for my celebration, she still has me at 73. I said, okay, I don't mind being 2 years younger than you, but I'm sorry. I did the math. I'm going to be 74 this year. So join us. Again, brief. So if you need to do this on a lunch break, you can do that. Okay? Everything else is there for you to read.